chandelier light bathed the upscale Manhattan restaurant in a golden glow, where crisp white tablecloths and soft jazz set the stage for New York's elite. Anna Muller, in her slightly frayed black server's uniform, moved with quiet precision toward the VIP table. Her brown hair was pulled into a neat bun, her face bare of makeup, a simple silver watch her only accessory. To the glittering crowd of tycoons and socialites, she was invisible, just another waitress hustling for tips. But Anna was no stranger to power. Raised in a family that owned half the city's skyline, she carried herself with a discipline that didn't need flash. Tonight, in this room of quick judgments, she'd let her actions speak. At the table sat Klaus Adler, a German billionaire whose tailored suit screamed wealth. His assistant Hans leaned forward, smirking like he was in on a private joke. Klaus flicked the menu toward Anna with a sneer, not bothering to look at her. In German, he muttered, "This place hires servers like her? Hope she can at least get the order right." Hans chuckled, eyeing Anna's worn cuffs like they told her whole story. Anna bent slightly to take their order, her face calm, unreadable. She didn't flinch at their words. When she returned with the appetizer, she set the plate down with care and spoke in flawless German, her voice steady and clear. "This is the exact dish you raved about in Berlin last May." Mr. Adler Klaus froze, his smug grin vanishing. Hans's laugh died in his throat. Nearby tables turned, whispers rippling through the room. Anna poured water into their glasses, her hands steady, her gaze unwavering. In that moment, the nobody they'd dismissed wasn't just a waitress. She was someone who'd just turned the tables without raising her voice. Anna Muller stood poised by the table, the faint clink of her water pitcher against the glass, the only sound breaking the sudden hush. Klaus Adler's face was a mask of shock, his fork hovering midair, the perfectly plated appetizer untouched. Hans, his assistant, shifted uncomfortably, his earlier smirk replaced by a tight-lipped stare. The other diners, sensing the shift in the room, leaned in, their murmurs a low hum beneath the jazz. Anna's flawless German still hung in the air, a quiet bombshell that had flipped the script on Klaus's arrogance. She didn't linger for their reaction. With the same calm efficiency, Anna moved to the next table, refilling glasses and clearing plates, her worn cuffs catching the chandelier light. But her mind was sharp, replaying every detail of Klaus's muttered insults. Growing up in a family that owned half of Manhattan's skyline, she'd learned early how to read people like him, men who measured worth by wealth and dismissed anyone who didn't flaunt it. She'd chosen this job not out of need, but to understand the world from the ground up, to move through it unseen until she decided otherwise. Tonight, she'd decided. Klaus cleared his throat, forcing a chuckle as he leaned toward Hans. "Well," he said in English, loud enough for nearby tables to hear, "seems the help here is full of surprises." His tone was light, but his eyes were hard, fixed on Anna's back as she worked. Hans nodded, quick to recover his sycophantic grin. "Must have taken a night class or two," he quipped, but his voice lacked its earlier edge. Anna returned with their main course, seared scallops drizzled with a truffle reduction, each plate a work of art. She set them down with precision, her expression neutral but her eyes locking briefly with Klaus's. "From the chef's special menu," she said, this time in English, her faint New York accent grounding every word. "He adjusted the recipe based on your preferences at the Munich Gala last fall. I trust it meets your standards." Klaus's jaw tightened, his fingers gripping the napkin a little too hard. Hans's grin faltered again, his eyes darting between Anna and his boss. The Munich Gala. How could she know? The nearby tables were openly staring now. Forks paused, conversations stalled. A woman in a sleek red dress whispered to her companion, "Who is she?" Anna didn't wait for a response. She turned, her steps measured and disappeared into the rhythm of the restaurant, taking orders, pouring wine, moving like a shadow among the elite. But the air had changed. Klaus, who'd walked in expecting the room to bow to his presence, now sat diminished, his power undercut by a woman he'd written off as nobody. Hans muttered something in German, too low for others to hear, but Klaus silenced him with a sharp glance. As the the night wore on, Klaus picked at his food, his usual swagger replaced by stiff politeness. When Anna brought the dessert menu, he avoided her gaze, ordering in clipped English. Hans, still trying to save face, tossed out a condescending, "You're quite the linguist for a waitress." Anna's lips twitched, not quite a smile. "You'd be surprised what you learn when you listen," she said, her tone so even it cut deeper than any retort. By the time they left, Klaus's tip was generous, almost comically so, as if money could erase the sting of being outplayed. Anna pocketed it without a second glance, already moving to clear the table. The other servers, who'd caught wind of the exchange, shot her knowing looks, but she just shrugged. To them, she was still Anna, quiet, reliable, always working the toughest shifts. But tonight, in a room full of New York's power players, she'd reminded everyone that real strength doesn't need a spotlight. It just shows up and gets it done. As the evening crowd thinned out, Anna wiped down the last of the tables, the jazz now fading into the clatter of closing time. The restaurant's glow dimmed, chandeliers casting long shadows across the empty chairs where Klaus and Hans had sat. She could still feel the buzz in the air, the subtle shift in how the other patrons had looked at her after the exchange. A nod from a Wall Street exec here, a whispered "well done" from a socialite there. But Anna didn't dwell on it. She stacked the chairs with the same quiet focus she'd brought to every shift, her silver watch ticking steadily against the rhythm of her work. Back in the kitchen, the chef, a burly guy named Marco, with a thick Brooklyn accent, clapped her on the shoulder. "Heard you put that Euro snob in his place, kid. Good on you. Scallops were spot on, right?" Anna smiled faintly, tying off a trash bag. "They always are when you make 'em." Marco chuckled, but his eyes held a question he didn't ask. Who was she really? The staff had their theories: runaway heiress, undercover journalist, or just a girl with a knack for languages and a steel-trap memory. Anna let them wonder. The truth was simpler and more complicated. Her family's empire had taught her that power wasn't about shouting from the rooftops. It was about knowing when to listen and when to strike. Outside, the New York night hummed with energy. Anna stepped into the cool August air, the city's skyline towering like old friends. She pulled her coat tighter against the breeze off the Hudson, her worn sneakers padding softly on the sidewalk. A few blocks away, her phone buzzed in her pocket, a text from her brother, the one running the family business now. "Heard about Adler. Dad would be proud. Dinner tomorrow?" She typed back a quick "sure," but her mind wandered to Klaus. Men like him didn't forget slights easily. Would he dig into her background, try to turn it into some petty revenge? Or would he slink back to Berlin? Lesson learned. The next evening, the restaurant was packed again, the same elite crowd swirling in their designer threads. Anna moved through it like before, invisible until she wasn't. But tonight, a new face at the bar caught her eye. A sharp-dressed woman with a knowing smile, sipping a martini. "Anna Muller," the woman said as Anna passed, her voice carrying a hint of admiration. "I'm with the Times. Word spreading about last night. Care to chat off the record?" Anna paused, water pitcher in hand, her expression unchanging. "About what?" The woman leaned in. "About how a nobody waitress schooled a billionaire without breaking a sweat. People love an underdog story in this town." Anna's lips curved slightly, not a smile, but close. "I'm no underdog, and stories like that, they write themselves." She turned away, back to her rounds, but the spark was there. In a city built on ambition and reinvention, Anna had just reminded herself, and maybe New York, that sometimes the quiet ones hold all the cards. As the night unfolded, Klaus's name lingered in the whispers, but Anna, she was already planning her next move, whatever it might be. In the Big Apple, after all, the game never really ends. Anna slipped into a quiet booth at a corner diner after her shift, the kind of place where neon signs buzzed and the coffee was bottomless, pure New York grit amid the glamour. She stirred her mug absent-mindedly, replaying the Times reporter's words. An underdog story? Hardly. But in a city like this, where headlines chased the next big thing, maybe it was time to step out of the shadows. Her phone buzzed again. Another text from her brother. "Adler's people are sniffing around. Watch your back." She smirked, sipping the bitter brew. Klaus wasn't done yet. The following morning, sunlight sliced through the blinds of her modest Brooklyn apartment, casting stripes on the hardwood floor. Anna scrolled through her news feed over cereal, spotting a brief mention in a gossip column. Billionaire's ego bruised by mystery waitress at Le Chateau. No names, but the details were spot on. She set her bowl down, her mind racing. If Klaus was digging, he'd find out soon enough. Her family's real estate dynasty, her Ivy League education tucked away like a secret weapon. But why hide anymore? She'd taken the server gig to escape the boardroom politics, to feel the pulse of the city without the weight of expectations.